Did you know that sanitary pads was developed by a black woman named Mary Beatrice Davidson, born May 17th, 1912, and returned to the Essence January 13th, 2006? Until sanitary pads were created, women used all kinds of reusable fabrics to observe menstrual flows. Mary's invention was initially rejected because of racial discrimination. The world had no choice. Her invention was too important to be ignored. It was later accepted in 1956, 30 years later. Another one of her inventions is the bathroom tissue holder, which she co-invented with her sister. Did you know that? Well, now you do. Peace. Did you know that?
I do have a couple of choices to just kind of sum it all up. Like I could stay in that situation and, go on a path of just really not a good path of making good decisions. And then it just dawned on me that, okay, I can go to college, I could start my own thing. And I just started surrounding myself with other like-minded individuals, whether they were my age or not. I just felt that leaving Atlanta was the best for me. It was like my aha moment. I had an epiphany and I was like, okay, I can stay here and stay in this environment and, you know, I guess call myself a victim and not really just come up out of where I call it the pits of hell. And
Mhm.
so it's like for me, I really just decided it wasn't like a decision like overnight, but it everything built up from just the physical abuse, the emotional, and I was ready to make a change in my life and see what my story was instead of just bringing that story because it is a part of my life, but then I was like, okay, where's my story, where do I fit in? And so I was just like, who is Shanice, what does Shanice want? And so I kind of spoke to that and I was like, okay, I'm on this journey. I'm taking a big risk, I'm moving to another state, I don't know. So I left and I went to Virginia, and that's when I pursued my degree in business. And I was like, okay, I'm doing this, I can do it. It was tough, but I was like, okay, there's still people around me who've been through way worse than, whether it's been in foster care or just, way worse where they ended up being raped and just, having to find their way back and rebuild themselves and rebrand themselves. So I think it was such a pivotal point at 17 because man, my life could be so different. It could be completely different. So
So at
yeah.
17, that's when you moved to Virginia to go toward oh wow.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you were young, and even though you went through all of that, I guess that I guess in a sense, a lot of people who go through things young at that age, you have no choice but to grow up fast.
Right.
My mom, she had me when she was 16, and again, my grandmother, to kind of get backstory on that, my grandmother, got caught up in the whole crack situation. And so my aunt, she took her to California to kind of get herself clean, which left my mother, in Texas, 16,
Mhm.
17, with a baby by herself. So she was kind of forced to grow up.
Right.
So yeah, can you kind of touch on that? Like wow, that gotta be scary.
I mean, everything was scary just from, I would say, hmm, that's a great question. Now you get into the meat potatoes. Okay. Oh goodness. Hmm. Okay. It's kind of like reliving my childhood trauma. So that's
And
interesting.
it's crazy because I guess the more you talk about the book, the more you keep having
Yeah.
to relive it. So I know, take your time. If anything you don't want to talk, we definitely, we don't got to touch on it if it's too
Mhm.
much for you.
Hmm. Okay. Can you reframe? Well, not reframe, but I guess restate the question again because I'm trying to get back into it.
Yeah, so I kind of just wanted to know about, you being 17, after all you had already been through from Atlanta, then making the choice at 17 to move to Virginia to um, focus on your business degree. Like, how scary was it? Did you even know anybody in Virginia, or they just picked a state? And how did you even get to Virginia?
Okay. 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 Now it's coming back. Sorry about that. Yes. Okay. So it was definitely scary. I didn't know anyone. I think when I was still in high school, I was kind of researching. I was like, am I going to stay in Atlanta or do I want to leave? And so there was a couple other places besides Virginia. And so I think by the time summer of 2013, it was like, okay, it's time to get the ball rolling. And so I really just stepped out on faith. I had a couple of different choices and I was like, okay, Virginia is really, it's really far. I mean, it's not that far, but for me, it was really far because I was by myself and I was, young, still a kid. And so I don't know. I think it was just my bravery just to like leave everything behind and just start a new life. But then I ended up running into like the same situations. So, for example, like with men, like I didn't realize that, you know, sometimes within domestic violence, we pick up on traits and certain things unconsciously. Is that a word? I
Mhm,
forgot. And
mhm.
if it's not like directly happening to us at that specific moment, like it's like later on, like I carried on different patterns, like, and I was very abusive, I would say verbally, and just didn't want to seek out the help or the treatment. So it kind of took a long time to kind of come to terms with actually what happened. Even though I was leaving that situation, it was kind of like fight or flight. And so it was like, okay, I'm going to start this brand new life, but it's like you're running away from the issues and running away from the problems. And
Instead of
so
actually dealing with the problem, a lot of times we
exactly.
run away from it. Girl, you stand the word. We gonna okay, yeah, that is so true. That's true.
Mhm. Wow. It's like, okay. Now that I'm saying this, it's like, wow, I really went through that.
Yeah, and
Wow.
we don't even realize a lot of women, me myself as well, went through something like that, and you don't realize how traumatic it was until you're out of it, and you think that okay, I'm fine. You don't deal with certain things, you just sweep it up under the rug. I'm good, and then you get into another situation, and all of those things start to erupt again, and you're like, oh shit, I've never dealt with those
Yes.
things. I just I didn't talk about it or I just, left it alone. And then until you're forced to actually deal with it.
Hmm. Wow. It's absolutely right. That is absolutely right. I feel like even when I was out there, there was just different things I would say, even within men, that I didn't learn the lesson. I just kept repeating the same thing with a different person, different environment, different,
Mm.
people. And so I think that my biggest takeaway from that, and then just coming back home, it really was like, okay, I have another choice. Okay. Because I felt like every few years you have a couple of choices. You can like stay there wherever you are, whatever situation you are, or you can just like leave. But I felt like, okay, I can come home, but am I still continuing to run? So even when I came home, I was still running, girl. Like I was still running. So I think the last 5 years, I really kind of got a rein on my life. Being that I'm about to turn 26, it's like, okay, I can't keep running. Like I've been to several therapists. I've done this. So it's like, okay, what is it? The problem, it can't be them. I can't blame it on, my childhood trauma, even though that's where it stems from. And that's, I would say the blueprint and the foundation that we're all given before we're born, but I felt like probably by the age I was 20, 21, it was like, okay, let's take some accountability, self accountability, like a hard assessment. Like, okay, the problem is not everybody else, it's me.
Mm.
I had hard lessons to learn within my finances, with just men, with other women, and how I treated myself, how I didn't take care of myself, and how I didn't put myself first. I think that's another thing. This year is like, oh, okay. The things that I want, the things that I say that I want, like, okay, a relationship, okay, you know, I'm like, wow, it's harder now because I am so focused on myself. It was like, oh, that was the lesson, to really focus on myself. And as a lot of Black women, they don't. We put ourselves on the back burner.
Mhm.
Everybody else comes first. We're the last to eat. We're the last to, get things together. And I was like, well, how can you take care of everybody else if you don't take care of yourself? So,
Hmm. And the fact that at 26 you're getting that, I wish that at 26 I would have, came into that realization. I'm just now coming into that realization at 30, going into 31. And it's like, to hear you before you even say, when you said graduated in 2013, I was like, no, wait a minute. Did she say that she graduated in 2013? No, she didn't. Wait a minute. So that's amazing how we can learn from people that's younger than us. I'm glad that Corinthian,
yes.
put this together. I didn't even realize I needed this interview. You helping a lot of people out there. So yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing that you came into that, so young. And so by the time you are 30, 35 years old, you will be so far ahead of the game. At 21, I was not thinking about my finances. And at 26, at 25, 26, that's when I went through that, whole traumatic situation. And so it has taken me a few years to kind of even again realize what I just went through.
Right. Wow.
So the name Unplugged, how did you come up with that name for the book?
Wow. Okay, that's another interesting question. You got some great questions.
I be trying. Now just
No, you really do. I mean, see how I did it, like, because I started this when I was 10 years old. So I didn't come up with a name until probably like 22, 23. It was weird. Like it was all backwards. Because sometimes as writers and authors, like, okay, you got to have the name. Yeah, it's sometimes pieces just come together differently. And so Unplugged was just like, okay, I've been running all this time. I've been running away, honestly, from myself.
Mm.
It's like, okay, when is the time to really just plug in and tune in with myself? So it really was like, okay, what's the opposite? It's the opposite of plugging in, basically. Unplug. So unplugging from all these distractions and just outside and external factors that I thought, okay, this is what success is supposed to look like. I've obtained and attained all of this, and I'm still not happy. What else? What else is there? Because it's like, okay, as Black women, you know, we say work hard, we say all of these things, but it's like we don't take into account of what are we really doing. So it's like, I don't know, Unplugged, it just stood out to me. It just at that time, it was something that just kind of gravitated towards me. And then I don't know, that's a great question. I haven't really thought about it in depth like that. It just, unplugging from distractions and getting back in tune with myself and just yeah. Yeah, question.
No, that's a good answer. That's a good answer. That's okay. I wanted to also, because like you said, it's a book of poems, and each poem was written to empower women. And like I said, with Myquality is for real, the whole movement, that is my whole goal, is to empower women and to let us know, especially us, the original, the Black women, to let us know that we are, that all of these qualities that we have, whether good, bad, ugly, all of those are for real, and we need to actually dig into them, what I'm saying, and to go into them. And so I'm just reading off of your excerpt from your book, and it says that have patience with yourself and realize it's okay to enjoy the process of growth. Whew. Talk a little bit about that, about the patience that we have to have with ourselves, because a lot of times, we think that we should be a certain, like at 30, you couldn't tell me that I wasn't gonna already have like 3 or 4 kids, married, me and Oprah sitting, beachside by now, I'm me on the first name basis with Beyonce, those type of things we expect. And then when we get there and we're not there yet, we feel like, oh, we failed. Right. We lose patience with ourselves. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So it's funny that you mentioned that. It's like going back and rereading it. and then reliving it. I really had, especially right now, especially for today, but going back to the question, I don't think we give ourselves enough credit. I think, okay, yeah, we're accomplishing this, or yeah, we're doing this, we want this by a certain time, but I don't think people truly look at enjoying the journey, enjoying the process. It's like I said, I mean, I got my bachelor's degree at 1920. And then, okay, I prayed for my own car, I prayed for my own apartment. So all of these things and all these blessings that were, I was working so hard for and working so diligently on, I got. I spoke them into existence. I worked on it. I knew exactly, okay, this is what it's supposed to look like. But then it wasn't until probably like last year to where it was like, okay, I want more, I want to go higher. We're always surrounded by people who are doing more in different fields and who have more experience. And then I realized, okay, I'm just content with this is just enough for me. And it's going to look different for every individual, every Black woman. It's going to look different, but I've learned to really truly be happy with what I have, really be in the process and look around like, oh, I have achieved this. Sometimes we get so caught up in like, yeah, it's just a degree. Yeah, it's just this. And I'm like, no, you really have worked hard for this. You really have. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm not going to get emotional. That was so weird. Um, but yeah, you really have worked hard to achieve what you set out to, and like a really young age, and you can pour into people and people can pour right back into you. And so I don't think a lot of people give themselves credit, especially Black women, because we're always striving to achieve the next, this and that. And we got to beat this, we got to meet this quota, we got to do that. And we don't really take time to take a step back and say, maybe in this part of my life, this is just enough. Maybe I need to speak to someone who doesn't have the experience or has the experience, and maybe they do need to pour into me instead of looking at 5 and 10 years from now. Okay, what's my 30-year plan? What's my retire? Maybe I do need to look right now because I'm so far ahead. I keep looking at that the answer that I'm looking for, that when you're so frustrated, it's like the answer is right in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yeah, to speak to that is just being content, because I could tell you so many lists that I have. Yeah, I need to be on this. Yeah, I'm like, well, no, I'm pretty happy because what I said I wanted to do, I did it. It's done. And now I think the next half, where 26 to 30, is really about action. It's no more talking of, okay, I've done the degree, I've done this. It's about meeting other women. It's about, empowering them to go after what they want to. And it definitely looks different for others. And I had to even, hold my own self accountable and be like, I can't I can't enable anyone. I can't, do the work for anybody else. I can't, it goes back to the experience of, domestic violence in my mom and, situations like that. I think everybody has their own rock bottom. And so that's another thing with being patient with yourself is you can be so caught up as the coach, as the mentor, as the author, as the writer that, okay, you see so much greatness in them, but you don't know what God has for them. You don't know that God may be protecting them in this season and wanting them to learn a specific lesson that you can't teach them if you're ingraining stuff into them, like, okay, you need to be this by the end of 30 days, you need to do this. Like, we have so many goals and deadlines, but do we really take a step back and be like, this is enough?
Right.
All this on our plate, but you can't see that you're eating already. You can't see that these babies and other people around us are really gravitating towards you. And it wasn't until I really stopped last year, where the world so-called shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh wow, okay, it's here. It's time. Like, it's time to get to work. This is the second half. It's time to like really, really talk and be about having patience with myself. I can't tell you to have patience with myself, with yourself, if I don't have patience with myself. If I get frustrated easily, if I, cuss someone out or whatever. So, wow. This is
Yeah, I'm
interesting.
still working on that part. I'm still working on that part because
Oh,
sometimes
progress.
you gotta let people know. No, I'm just
Yeah.
but so a little bit, like you say, about replace negative self-talk, doubt,
Mhm.
and lack of confidence with a positive attitude.
Mhm.
That is also very important. Can you kind of touch on that as well? Because sometimes we are our worst critics and we are our worst enemies. You know, we talk. I know me personally. I can only speak for myself. Like it's a lot of self doubt and self talk, if you will, replace negative self talk or whatever. So how do you deal with that?
Mm, I would say moment by moment, literally, like moment by moment. It's no sugarcoating, it's no facade. Like I even told my therapist because it's like I used to mask everything. So with all the achievements, with all the, greatness and the accomplishments, on the outside it looks great, but on the inside, like you're talking about, I have that self-doubt, I have that self-hatred. And so it wasn't until I was really intentional and mindful of the things that I was saying and how um for example, let's say I'm in a hardship right now, financial hardship. If I'm saying to myself at the beginning of the day that you set is like, okay, this is the tone before you go out or before you, come into the office where you're working at home and stuff. You set the day, you set the intention for the day. And so I had to be mindful of how I spoke to myself and what I said. And so when I chose to reframe the message of like, okay, paying bills are too hard, or this is difficult, or this is challenging, or I don't feel good today, or I'm tired, I reframed the message to my body needs more rest, or I am managing the money that I have now to obtain more money. I am managing different things now to obtain more things in the future. So it's really about, for me, perception and perspective that really was the thing for me, because we all could be busy, but at the end of the day, what did we get done? What were we intentional about? And so in the beginning as well, I was a big, checklist person, but then I started to get out of that because I was like, it's becoming too much like work, and it's already work with my work. And I was like, how can I make this more personal? How can I make this more driven in my passion? How can I, you know stay motivated within myself? How can I continue to have positive self-talk? So it really is moment by moment, and really just thinking to myself, how will this affect me? How will these set of decisions affect the next set of decisions, affect that outcome? And so I think I'm just very analytical and critical of myself. So
Mhm.
just being more mindful. Like I can tell you how many times I told myself I'm so tired. And then I felt tired. Like it's like, well, I am tired, but why don't I just, take a moment to rest? Why don't I just say my body needs rest? Or
Mhm.
asking me for something, say no, say no, say no.
Oh,
Say no.
sometimes we have a hard time saying no.
Yes. And don't have an explanation. Just say no.
Yep, and just be okay with that. You know, like you said, it goes back to putting ourselves first. A lot of times we don't put ourselves first. We put everybody else first, and then we're pouring from an empty cup,
Yep.
if you will. Yeah,
Wow.
so I thank you for, doing the work and for being confident enough and brave enough to even share your story and to write this book. How many with writing this book and all of the different people that you have met, what are some things that who are some people that you met or you come across that you didn't even realize that you would even, touch them in a way if I'm saying it right.
Yes. Wow. That's a great question. It goes back to, I feel like I was so caught up in the work. I was so caught up with just getting it out that when it came back to me, my aha moments were like the people's words. And so some of the people that I didn't even know were just like, this helped me through self discovery. This helped me in the next chapter of my life. This helped me, go through this season. And so I feel like it's really words of affirmation that touch me more and that have really a bigger impact versus the financial, which is great. That's what we're all heading towards, as well as, Black women and Black men in the community of just oppression and of things. But I think going back also to having patience, I felt like I failed when I didn't, when I was like, okay, I put it out and I didn't meet my sales goal. I didn't do what I wanted to do. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And I was like, okay, I took another step back and it was like, okay, there's people pouring into me. I'm getting great feedback, but what else can I do with this? How else can this impact me? And so I think one day I just broke down and was like, wow, I'm really in my dream. I'm really truly like, okay, I've done this part and people are touching me. People are impacting my life and my work is, you know, coming to life. So you can say on that. Um, and so I don't know, it's weird. It's a different feeling, honestly.
Mhm.
That it's the words that I get and just the little nuggets of just self-discovery. I feel like it's a whole new wave for women of just rebuilding themselves. Rebuilding
Mhm.
themselves. So
Yeah, this is definitely our time. Women, especially women, Black women,
mm,
it's definitely our time right now. And so again, thank you for sharing with us. Because again, when you go through something like this, and to relive it,
right.
you think that you are by writing it, you think that you're okay, it's all out, and I'm just letting it out. But doing these interviews and the book signing, so you're gonna keep having to relive it. So that's another confidence and bravery. So we thank you.
Yeah.
And I thank you again for, taking time out of your day. I know you just got out work, but letting me interview you and just being a vessel out here doing the work and just really, living in your purpose.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, like I said, it's interesting the people that you meet, with sharing your story and being vulnerable and being transparent. And so again, I just thank you for taking the time out to speak. And
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, tell the people where they can find you, where they can find the book, what you have coming up. Do you have any other books in store for us? Or are we just gonna have to wait around and see?
so yes, everyone, again, I'm author Shanice Dockins, and you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that good jazz. Author Shanice Dockins, and then my website, shanicedockins.com. And I also have a workshop coming out. It's called Reset You. And I'm excited about that. So you can look for more projects and definitely more books. And my book signing on June 26th at Nubian Bookstore in Morrow, Georgia from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. So, yes.
Yeah,
Be
so
on
have
the look.
you come back, the next book, anytime you drop something, this is definitely, you're welcome to come back and share with the people. We'd love to have you.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Well, you have a wonderful day. Again, this is kind of pre-recorded, so I will send out a flyer and everything. I'll send you a copy, of the video and the audio, and you can use it how you please. And so I will let you know. Again, thank you so much. You enjoy your day. And
Thank
again, this
you.
is Myquality. It's for real.
Yes, absolutely. You enjoy your day as well.
All right, peace.
Bye.